Full of potential, tragically taken too soon. He'll be missed dearly by his friends and family. Blair Boudreau.
And Blair Boudreau, a giant in our Acadian community, a proud, passionate, and tireless defender of our language, culture, and history. He leaves behind a profound and enduring legacy.
Eternal, Mr. Speaker, may we honor them by living with the same love, strength, and purpose that they brought to this world. May they rest in peace.
The Honourable Member for Marc-Aurèle-Fortin. Mr. Speaker, June 10th is Portugal Day, and Portuguese people all around the world are celebrating it. It's a sacred moment when we honour the soul of our nation, embodied by the great poet Luís de Camões, whose epic poem passionately recounts the history and indomitable spirit of the Portuguese people. Portuguese Canadians are known for their hard work, family solidarity, and unwavering love of our roots. It's these values that have enabled us to overcome challenges and contribute strongly to the fabric of this country. Happy Portugal Day.
The other weekend, I had the honour of kicking off the cricket season with SOCA, the Southern Ontario Cricket Association. Founded in 1883 under the leadership of Praveen, Dr. Harry, President Geary, and Vice President Karthik, SOCA has grown into a community of 79 teams. Today, SOCA runs leagues for women, children, and seniors, creating a truly inclusive cricket community. In the Waterloo region, SOCA serves 8,000 members where they find friendship, purpose, and pride. Through sport, they're growing leaders, role models, and stronger communities. Praveen Sharma has dedicated over 31 years growing this organization. Praveen has been the backbone of local cricket running programs long before it had the visibility it enjoys today. Mayor Barry has been tremendous, supporting over the years. His advocacy at the municipal level has played a key role in helping the league thrive in our Waterloo region. This is exactly the kind of community building I'm very proud to support. I wish you a very successful season. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Humber River Black Creek.
Speaker, Jimmy Lai, a 77-year-old pro-democracy advocate and journalist, stands for values cherished by Canadians, media freedom and the rule of law. Despite his age and health issues, Mr. Lai remains imprisoned in torturous condition under Hong Kong's repressive national security law, the provisions of which are inconsistent with international human rights law. On March 2024, the Subcommittee on International Human Rights issued a news release calling for the release of Jimmy Lai and expressed their solidarity with everyone advocating for freedom and justice in Hong Kong, echoing that Jimmy Lai stood up for truth and for his fellow Hong Kongers, and now we must stand up for him. Parliament has a proud tradition of supporting such individuals, as shown in 2023 when it granted honorary Canadian citizenship to Russian dissident Vladimir Murza. I now call upon the Government of Canada to make Jimmy Lai be made an honorary citizen of Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, today the Auditor General released another scandalous report on the contract for new F-35 fighter jets for the Canadian military. In her report, she strongly criticizes the Liberal government's handling of this process. She points out that the project has exceeded its budget by more than 50% and now costs nearly $30 billion. And that doesn't include the weapons and infrastructure required to meet the requirements, which will cost at least another $5.5 billion. Finally, she points out that there's also a serious shortage of pilots to fly the F-35s once they're delivered. People of Beauce are asking, when will this government start managing their money more seriously? Maybe they should start by tabling a budget this spring, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Rimouski-Lamatin-Pézia. To salute Victor Beaulieu, we've lost one of our most bold and outstanding representatives. He left us aged 70 years old. His essays and plays and novels will remain behind, l'indigné, l'insoumis, l'indépendantiste, and he loved his part of the country. Victor Lévy-Beaulieu was one of the greats, and he was the creator of Razamonde, L'Héritage, and other works that marked Quebecers. For years, millions of us watched his stories on TV and his characters that were larger than life, like Ostidosé des Debords. And his characters used the colorful language of the Québécois. To his family and loved ones, our most sincere condolences.
Cumberland Colchester.
This past week, the Truro Farm Equipment Museum marked their 35th anniversary of preserving agricultural heritage in Nova Scotia. Museums like this are so much more than the antique tractors and plows on display. They are keepers of stories that matter, stories of families working the land and building our society from the ground up. Our rural communities have always been laboratories of innovation and resilience. For generations, our farmers have fed entire communities while protecting the land for future generations. As elected representatives are called to act on the biggest challenges of the 21st century, we would do well to learn from that same spirit of ingenuity and cooperation historically found in agricultural communities across Canada. Thank you.
The honourable member for Markham Unionville.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to acknowledge today's scathing Auditor General's report on the current and future use of office space. The report noted that the Liberals promised to reduce office space by 50%, along with $1.1 billion over 10 years to do so. However, the Auditor General found that the office space reduction will only be 33%, and the result shows the absolute failure on the Liberals to get the housing built after years of flashy announcements, and all they have are endless broken promises. The report promises that it takes 6 to 8 years to dispose of surplus buildings, a completely unacceptable and costly timeline. Mr. Speaker, as millions of Canadians are struggling to find affordable housing, this latest report confirms just how out of touch and unhelpful this same old Liberal government has been. Thank you.
The honourable member for Winnipeg South Centre.
Mr. Speaker, this week marks the 100th anniversary of the founding of the United Church of Canada, established by an Act of Parliament exactly 100 years ago today. In my riding of Winnipeg South Centre, several United Church congregations, including Yonge, Augustine, Fort Garry, Westminster, Harrow, and Crescent Fort Rouge, gathered this past weekend for a special service of celebration and thanksgiving. I want to thank Reverend Mark Whitehead and all of those who helped to organize this meaningful gathering at Crescent Fort Rouge. For a century, Mr. Speaker, the United Church has stood alongside communities across Canada, not only as a spiritual home to many, but also as a place of welcome, community, and support, offering a wide range of programming and services to residents of all backgrounds. On this special anniversary, I want to extend my congratulations and gratitude to the United Church of Canada for 100 years of ministry, leadership, and hope, all in service of community. Thank you.
The honourable member for Algonquin Renfrew Pembroke.
The Auditor General's investigation into the Liberals' purchase of the F-35 fighter jets is shocking. It's over budget and behind schedule. Costs are up 50%. The new facilities to house the jets won't be completed until 2031. That is 3 years too late, forcing taxpayers to spend even more money on temporary hangars. The investigation also confirmed that we have what we have known since 2018. We don't have enough pilots. Canada was once the pilot training ground for the Commonwealth during World War II. Thanks to these Liberals, we send our recruits to Italy to learn to fly. This lost Liberal decade has left Canadians unsafe and insecure in an increasingly dangerous world. These out-of-control costs, repeated construction delays, and lack of staff threaten to delay the replacement of the fighter jets. Now, they want billions more to waste. Under these Liberals, Canadians are paying so much while getting so little in return.
The honourable member for Brossard-Saint-Lambert. Mr. Speaker, today, wherever people of Portuguese descent gather, they celebrate Portugal Day, Camões Day, and Portuguese Communities Day. What we celebrate on this day is, above all, what has shaped Portuguese culture over the centuries. Not a military feat, not a conquest, not even the discoveries. We celebrate cartography and azulejos, the symbiotic relationship with the oceans, and the delicious use of its treasures. Portuguese culture, well represented by Natas, is also a rich and renowned literature, from Camões to Fernando Pessoa, from Essa de Queiroz to José Saramago, fado, which moves us from cradle to grave, but it's also delicious, simple cuisine enhanced by the spices discovered in the 16th century and the judicious use of sea salt. Finally, being Portuguese, whether in Portugal or in the diaspora, means experiencing all these facets without too much homesickness. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Halliburton, Kawartha Lakes.
Speaker, today's Auditor General's report is another damning indictment that the Liberals have lost control on their rampant spending on consultants. GC Strategies, the consulting firm with links to ArriveScam, they cut 106 service contracts worth $92.7 million. This is the same company found in contempt of Parliament for refusing to answer questions, and they're called to this very House to answer those questions. But the scandal, of course, compounds from there. The AG found that in a third of the contracts awarded, there was no evidence that consultants had the required experience. Massive security clearance failures failed to prove that the fees paid did not match market rates, and the most damning of all, endless reams of evidence that the work wasn't even completed.
Unreal.
In true Liberal fashion, of course, Trudeau ministers responsible for ArriveScam, they actually got promoted.
Yes.
It's clear, Speaker, with decisions like this, the Liberals have no plan to get taxpayers' money back on this blatant corruption.
Shame.
The honourable member for Calgary Confederation.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to celebrate the 2025 graduating class from the University of Calgary. The last of this convocation, 7,000 graduates cross the stage today. Graduates like Austin Friesen, who just received his MBA, come from across degree programs and disciplines. Graduating from university is an enormous accomplishment. Grads are fortunate to have attended Canada's entrepreneurial university, one of our city's gems. The education and friendships they made along the way will serve them well. Sometimes young universities struggle to have their reputation keep up with their accomplishments, so I'd like to inform the House on just a few. Today, in dollar terms, the hardworking students, faculty, and staff at the U of C do about as much research as Queen's, Western, and TMU combined, all great universities in their own right. The university has among the highest student satisfaction scores. Its stroke protocol saves lives globally, and more startups have come out of the U of C over the past 5 years than any other Canadian university. Congratulations to all of the graduates. Your community is proud of you. You did it.
Oral questions. Questions orales. The honourable member for Brantford, Brant South, Six Nations.
Speaker, today the Auditor General released a scathing audit on the top ArriveScam fraudster GC Strategies. This two-person basement dwelling company feasted on $64 million taxpayer dollars. This was a direct gift from the Liberal government, who allowed basic procurement rules to be completely ignored over the last 10 years. Canadians still don't know who did the work, what was done, if they were qualified, if they had security clearances. This is complete government incompetence. The ask is simple. When will taxpayers get their money back?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the honourable member for his question. I thank the Auditor General for her service. I note that GC Strategy has been prohibited from government contracts for 7 years, and it's that standard, the minimum. As a member of Canada's new government and a new member of Parliament, we will uphold higher standards, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Brantford, Brant South, Six Nations.
Mr. Speaker, shockingly, the very same Liberal ministers who had their fingerprints all over the ArriveScam are still in cabinet today. Right. Namely, the Jobs Minister, the U.S. Trade Minister, and his Foreign Affairs Minister. Their lack of ministerial responsibility is both negligent and inexcusable. The fraudulent payment of $64 million isn't just about reckless spending. It's a total waste of taxpayer dollars and a betrayal of Canadians who are living through a cost of living crisis. So I ask the Prime Minister again, when will taxpayers get their money back?
That's a good question.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to commend the members opposite for supporting the Making Life More Affordable Act to get taxpayer dollars back to Canadians. And commit. This government is committed. This new government is committed to making the best use of all taxpayers' dollars.
The honourable member for Selkirk Interlake.
Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General just slammed these Liberals in her report this morning and said what we've known all along. The Liberals have broken our military. Today's F-35 report criticized the Liberals for misleading cost projections that are 50% higher by over $14 billion, ongoing construction delays for necessary infrastructure, ignoring the severe pilot and mechanic shortage, and implementing weak oversight mechanisms. The ministers who are responsible for this debacle are still sitting in here. Will the Prime Minister hold them accountable for this mess?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to know if the member opposite holds himself accountable for letting military spending fall below 1% of GDP. When the Conservatives were in government. This government has doubled military spending in cash terms. We're meeting our NATO obligation this year, leading from the front.
The honourable member for Selkirk Interlake.
Prime Minister, we actually delivered for our military. We bought brand new 5 CF-18 Bullmasters, new Hertz, new Leopard tanks, new Chinook helicopters. We delivered. Instead, what we got here is an Auditor General report referenced her 2018 report on Canada's fighter jets. That report said the biggest obstacle to meeting operational requirements was a shortage of fighter pilots and technicians. Over the last Liberal decade, the Liberals have worsened this capability gap through mismanagement and completely ignoring the Auditor General's recommendations. So the question is, the Foreign Minister who was responsible for the military back in 2018 is still in his cabinet. Why?
Good question.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I was proud to stand yesterday with the Minister of National Defence, the Chief of the Defence Force, and announce the largest increase in military expenditure in decades. Building our military strong, building our military with Canadian technology, Canadian jobs, Canadian steel, Canadian aluminum. That's what the review of the F-35 is about. That's what the future of this country is about.
The honourable member for Charles-Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General severely has criticized the government's management of the F-35 fighter purchase. It's now 50% over budget, $30 billion in costs. There are delays in construction, a lack of personnel, and insufficient oversight are threatening this project, and Canadians are paying the price. And the Prime Minister seems to have forgotten to mention that the new money announced yesterday is just to pay these cost overruns. He promoted the former Defence Minister. Why? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, one of the first measures that I took was a review of the F-35 contract. Because we have to do what's right for Canadians, what's right for Canada, what's right for our security, and we will report back to Parliament over the summer. The Honourable Member for Charles-Haute-Saint-Charles. The Prime Minister is the only thing that's new in this government, because the rest of the government is an old government, and we're seeing the problems with this incompetent old government. We've learned today, Mr. Speaker, from the Auditor General, that the main subcontractor of Arrive scam got $64 million from this Liberal government, even if it was under investigation by the RCMP. GC Strategies is a company with just 2 employees. It got 106 contracts from 31 federal organizations for a total value of $92.7 million. Is that Liberal incompetence, or is it corruption, or is it both? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, last year, after an independent process, the government suspended that company for 7 years. It's done. It's over. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, sit down. It's a little complicated. The Prime Minister gave Canadians back money that they had not paid. So it's an advance for a sum of money that they will not pay back. So about $4 billion was distributed to Canadians a week before the election, but not a cent to Quebecers. Can the Prime Minister explain this to Quebecers? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I am proud that we cancelled the carbon tax. Quebec and British Columbia have their own systems. Our decision, including the decision on the last payment of the rebate, involves the rest of Canada. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Well, it's completely illogical, Mr. Speaker. You pay back those who pay, not those who don't pay. But now that we know clearly that this has nothing to do with a carbon tax that was cancelled or that was criticized by the OECD, and we can understand that this money was a gift before the election and an injustice, does he recognize that the $3.7 billion that were given to Canadians have nothing to do with climate change? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Quebec, Mr. Speaker, Quebec didn't pay that consumer carbon tax. So it's not unjust, it's coherent that the rebate would continue. One last leader has just said he created Quebec's own carbon tax system. It was different, and it's different across the country, including British Columbia. Our approach is coherent, it's fair, it's done.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton West.
Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General has once again exposed Liberal incompetence, highlighting millions wasted on their good friends and favourite consultants, GC Strategies. Not only have the Liberals not clawed back one penny from this scam, every Trudeau minister with his fingerprints on the scandal has been promoted by this Prime Minister. And now the Liberals are planning an extra $26 billion of taxpayer money for their insider consultant friends. Now, how about spend less on your insider friends and invest more in clawing back the money from GC Strategies?
The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation.
Mr. Speaker, I'll note that in March 2024, my department has terminated all contracts with GC Strategies and has revoked its security clearance so that it renders it ineligible for contracts that require that security clearance. But we went even further. The Office of Supplier Integrity last week determined that GC Strategies was ineligible for 7 years. This is a free, independent process, holding bad actors to account, working exactly as it should, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton West.
Ended years after they were exposed. Now, $64 million went to Liberal friends at GC Strategies. Rampant sole sourcing of contracts with no justification and projects paid for despite no work being done. Incompetence is so ingrained in this government, they've actually ordered officials to put in writing that they are not violating procurement rules when they're granting contracts. Now the Liberals want $26 billion more for these consultants. When will the Liberals turn off the taps to their friends and focus instead on clawing back the money from this fraudulent GC Strategies?
The Honourable Minister for Government Transformation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the Auditor General for her report and highlight that we have acted on previous reports by the Auditor General, and also from internal audits to increase transparency, increase data collection, increase oversight. But also note, Mr. Speaker, that last year my department has terminated all contracts with GC Strategies, has revoked its security clearance, and as of last week, the Office of Supplier Integrity has rendered a decision making GC Strategy ineligible for contracts for 7 years. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Midnapore.
If you're spending $64 million on a product, you would probably think to at least do some price comparisons. Yet the Liberal government did no such thing. The Auditor General said that in 82% of GC Strategies contracts examined, there was no evidence that fees were being charged by this two-person company were based on a fair market value. Is this the Prime Minister's idea of a new fiscal discipline, or does price really not matter to Liberals when it comes to paying their well-connected friends? When will we get our money back?
The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation.
Mr. Speaker, let me be absolutely clear. Misconduct of any kind in the procurement process is never acceptable, which is why we've acted on previous recommendations from the Auditor General. And as of last year, GC Strategies has seen its contracts terminated by the Government of Canada, and we've revoked their security clearance. Now we went even further. The Office of Supplier Integrity has rendered a decision making GC Strategy ineligible for 7 years, Mr. Speaker. This is a process that's free and independent, holding bad actors to account, and it is working as it should. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Calgary-Midnapore.
Check for fair market value. Canadians could hope that at least we got something in return for $64 million. Not the case here. This is how Liberals are spending your money. Overpaid and nothing to show for it. The Auditor General said only 54% of contracts audited could prove deliverables were received. Is this the Prime Minister's new fiscal discipline? Or for Liberals, is it business as usual? When will we get our money back?
The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation and
As I've highlighted in previous answers, in March 2024, PSPC has terminated all contracts with GC Strategies. We revoked their security clearance. Now, the Office of Supplier Integrity, which we have put in place after a thorough investigation, determined that GC Strategies met the threshold to be found ineligible for government contracts. As such, they are ineligible for the next 7 years. This is a process to hold bad actors accountable, because we will never accept and tolerate misconduct in the procurement process. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Provencher.
Mr. Speaker, money doesn't grow on trees, but it sure seems to grow in the coffers of Liberal government insiders and contractors. Today we learned through the Auditor General's blistering report that 31 service procurement contracts had been awarded to GC Strategies for $92 million. Wow. The ministers didn't enforce security, the ministers didn't monitor contracts, and they didn't follow proper procurement policies. But guess what, Mr. Speaker? These same Trudeau ministers are in today's cabinet. Who is running that circus over there, and when will the Canadian taxpayer get their money back?
Right. The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation.
Mr. Speaker, following a thorough investigation by the Officer of Supplier Integrity, last week a determination was made that GC Strategies should be ineligible for the next 7 years. This is a free and independent process we've put in place to hold bad actors to account, and it is working exactly as it should. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-l'Érable-Lotbinière. Well, it's clear, Mr. Speaker, a Liberal is a scandal, Mr. Speaker. The Auditor General was very clear this morning in her report on GC Strategies, the Liberal ArriveCan app. This company, 2 people, $64 million in payments from the Liberals. The report reveals that we don't know who did the work, what was done, were the people who did the work qualified to do the work, and did they have the security clearance to do it? We don't know. And the ministers who allowed this, well, they all got promotions, Mr. Speaker. When will the Liberal Prime Minister get the money back that his government took from every Canadian's pocket? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In March 2024, PSPC ended all contracts with GC Strategies. We revoked the